And we're live, finally. So my apologies there. There was a little thing where I was logged in under one account, and I was supposed to be on the other account, apparently. So now that that's figured out, welcome to the second live VodCast of Dodgers LowDown. And just because we're all out of sorts tonight, Ernie Villa is running late as well. So don't call in yet, because he's the one who's got the phone hooked up with the number. I am going to be getting Eric Versalovich on the line here in a moment so that we can get started. So give me one moment here, and let me see if I can get Eric on the phone. It's just one of those Friday nights, folks. All right. We've also got a handy dandy new speaker.
What's up?
Not much. So we are finally broadcasting. I figured out what was wrong. So good evening. Say hello to our guests. Right now we're at 2 viewers, so hopefully word will get out that we are finally on the air, and that'll get the viewership numbers up. I did see. Let's see, who did I see with a moment ago? I was in between. We got Bleeding Blue Diehards. How's it going, man? We got him out there somewhere watching us, and let me just make sure that we have come off. This is a lot easier when Ernie's. Let's see. Okay, and I've taken off the broadcast alert. Okay, and now we're at 3 viewers. So I don't know if anybody heard the start there, but Eric Becker here with Eric Versalovich for Dodgers LowDown, and good evening to everyone. So Eric, how you doing this evening?
Could be better, but I'm okay. How are you doing?
Doing all right. So the Dodgers had sort of a minor signing today. What was that? I saw an outfielder.
Yeah, they signed Travis Witherspoon, who was a 25-year-old minor league outfielder. He has spent some time in the Angels organization. He spent last season with the Mariners. Did pretty good. I mean, he had a 252 average, had 15 home runs, 44 RBIs, 25 stolen bases for their high A team. So, I mean, he's really more of a, at this point, he's kind of a depth move. He's not really good. I doubt he's going to be a guy that's going to be competing for a starting spot. Like, I saw some people today when I had mentioned it that I was saying, oh, well, Ethier and Peterson have to watch out. And it's like, yeah, it's not like that.
Well, he had an average around 250 in a hitters league last year.
Exactly. So, I mean, he's got some tools. He just hasn't really fully developed. He hasn't fully put all the tools together to take off. I mean, there's still time though. He's only 25. So I mean, his window's closing, but he still has a chance. So he'll probably, he's at camp right now with the Dodgers. He'll probably see some time in spring training. More than likely, he'll probably break camp and end up probably either Rancho or possibly at Tulsa. Given, depending on the depth of, the center fielders in the farm system. I mean, obviously Jock is up with the big league team now. He could probably be starting in center field for Tulsa.
So we could be looking at Tulsa's starting center fielder in this deal. I mean, by the sounds of what I have read about him, it sounds like he can really go out and get it in the outfield. It's just an issue of his hitting hasn't really developed the way that the scouts and the different clubs that have had him over the years would have wanted.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, realistically, he probably could. He probably could find a good niche as a team's like fourth or fifth outfielder, just based on the fact of his, of the tools that he does seem to have. He does seem to have pretty decent speed. He does seem to have, pretty good range in the outfield. So that could be a niche. He kind of maybe that niche of like that Tony Gwynn Jr. kind of thing where the bat's not really all there, but he does have other tools that could make him valuable.
And actually, it's funny that you mentioned Tony Gwynn Jr. because I was just about to ask you, how does he rank? Well, I shouldn't say rank, but how does he compare to a guy like TGJ? So
yeah, I mean, his numbers are pretty similar. I mean, his skill set's pretty similar. I haven't seen too much footage of his defense. I don't know if it's on point with Gwynn Jr. So I mean, he obviously with the front office the way they are, they're not going to pick a guy that's slow and a center fielder that's slow or anything. They're going to pick guys that rate highly defensively and have other skill sets that make up for lack of area.
Right, that does make sense. And of course, you can never have enough organizational depth because if you have a lot of injuries and you just need to get bodies out there in the outfield to get through games, I mean, this is a guy where if you do have a lot, and of course, we hope not to have that many injuries, but in the event there are a lot of injuries, this is a guy that you could feasibly call up to the big club for a couple of weeks while guys get healthy. And if nothing else, he gives you a serviceable center fielder and maybe a 7 or 8 in the lineup bat just for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that is very true. I mean, he could be, I mean, if it gets to the point where we're, outfield depth and we're having to rely on him to be at the big league clean, I think we're in a little bit of trouble. But he's still a good player. Hopefully, maybe under the guidance of the coaching staff with the Dodgers, maybe he can put it together and see what the kid's got.
Well, of course, we're very curious to see what these guys do as they go through spring training camp. Now, obviously, the hot topic issue this week has been Andre Ethier. And, I mean, it depends on whose quotes you want to believe. He's either fighting for a starting job or he's saying, play me or trade me. I'm more inclined to think that the media is blowing this out of proportion a little bit. I'm curious about what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I mean, the way I read into it, it's more along the lines of he's not necessarily demanding right this second to be traded. What I read into it is when he made the comments earlier in the offseason about how he was on the bench last year and that was the role he accepted based on the fact that it was what was best for the team at the time.
Right.
Then, he made the comment saying, that was what was best then, and you know what? It ultimately didn't lead the team to a championship, and now it's going into a new year, and he wants a fresh start, which is understandable, And realistically, I believe that even though he had a down year last year, he deserves as much as everyone else an equal opportunity to get a chance to start. Last year was last year. So he deserves to show up to spring training just like everybody else with the same chance as the other guys. Now, if he struggles early in spring training or if the other guys are hitting really well and he gets outplayed, then he gets outplayed. And then you worry about the personality as far as him being upset about not playing or being put on the bench. You worry about that then. To try to blow it out now and be like, oh, well, he wants to be traded and this is going to be an issue all spring training. Like, take the problems as they come. Right now, the biggest issue is we have to make sure, if we, steps up and shows that he's over the fact of, the struggles in the postseason and getting benched in Game 4. Make sure, Josh Peterson is ready to go, and what happened in September isn't the sign of what's going to happen when he faces Major League pitching. Van Flyke stepped up last year. Can he repeat that performance? Can Carl Crawford stay healthy? If all those other issues pan out and those guys do their thing and hit well, and Ethier happens to also hit well, then there comes the point of, okay, the teams have to make the decision. Do they decide to move on from one of the guys, which would likely be Ethier being dealt? Or do they, does there an injury occur? Or so to try to worry about that right now is kind of too soon. And also too, if all the outfielders hit in spring training, and if Ethier is really hitting and a team has an injury, his value just skyrockets. Which right now his value is nothing.
Right.
You look at, for example, just recently, the Blue Jays recently acquired outfielder Michael Saunders in the offseason. Michael Saunders was doing fielding drills in the outfield and stepped on a what's it called? A sprinkler.
These things do happen during spring training.
And he tore his meniscus in his knee.
Ouch.
Now they're saying he's going to miss some time. They said worst case scenario, he's possibly out to the All-Star break, although I heard this morning that he's hoping that all of a sudden be back by possibly mid-April.
That's a bit of a rush with the meniscus. I mean, meniscus is a pretty serious injury.
Exactly. So, granted, although likely that's not a long-term injury, so would Toronto want to trade for Ethier when they have Saunders? Probably not. But for that example, going into spring training, you just never know what's going to happen. A team could have all this outfield depth, and they have a guy or two go down, and all of a sudden the need for Ethier arises.
Indeed.
The same thing that goes with Boston with their surplus of outfielders, and the same thing that goes for the team in San Diego with their surplus of outfielders.
Now, if I can just get a word in real quick to the audience listening out there, we did obviously promise a call-in show that is going to be coming up probably in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Ernie V is running a little bit late, so it's just me and Eric V to start the broadcast off. But hang on tight. We will get to your phone calls, and we're very interested in hearing what all of you have to say on different Dodger topics tonight. So back to Ethier. I mean, the guy hits 249 last year. He hits a home run opening day and then hits 3 more the rest of the year. So, I mean, there's a consideration, first off, of power outage, but at the same time, the guy is going to only be 33 years old. I realize that's somewhat past his prime, but not that far, and usually not to a point where major leaguers decline like you saw Ethier decline last year. I have to assume that there's going to be at least some bounce back from what we saw out of Andre Ethier last year. And you're talking, of course, about the Blue Jays possibly having a need. But another team that you and I were talking about earlier this week, you were talking about a possible deal with the Angels, who, unfortunately, Josh Hamilton is having an issue with substance abuse. And just on a personal level, I hope that the guy is able to recover from that and go through, whatever treatment he needs to go through, whether there's a suspension coming up or not. I don't know. I haven't heard anything formal from MLB, but the Angels suddenly become a possible fit for Andre Ethier, especially if that substance abuse is a long-term issue where he maybe has to step away from the game for a while. What are your thoughts as far as where Ethier fits? I mean, Toronto, you just mentioned. Anaheim, we've talked about. Do you think there's another club, or do you think there's an ideal fit for Ethier right now?
Well, I mean, as of right now, looking at teams around baseball, teams have question marks. I mean, I've heard some people suggest before the Giants got Nori Aoki that maybe trade him to San Francisco. I've heard earlier in the offseason before the Red Sox made all their moves, maybe trade him to Boston because he's good friends with Dustin Pedroia. There are teams that still have holes in their outfield but are going other routes. I mean, Baltimore's acquired Travis Snyder. So all these other teams have made their moves to get outfielders. So as of right now, there's really not a team that I think is looking for an outfielder per se. I think that's why you haven't seen Boston make any moves with their outfield surplus. You haven't seen San Diego make any moves with their outfield surplus. So I think right now it's kind of a situation of they're in a holding pattern, waiting to see, for pieces to fall throughout the spring training. I mean, like I just said, Saunders just had that incident that was a situation that was completely unexpected, completely out of the blue, and now that if he has any setback or anything like that, and it puts them out longer, that's going to press Toronto to possibly go and get somebody. So I think right now, I don't see a team that's really pressing for Ethier. I think it's more teams are going to have to wait and see. And down the road, I think we'll see Ethier possibly dealt. I mean, that's going at the fact of looking and hoping that, our guys stay healthy. I mean, for that matter, we got to hope that, Fleet, Peterson, Crawford, and Van Fleck stay healthy, and also Chris Heide.
Right. Well, I mean, the Dodgers do have, before you even get, and we obviously talked about the earlier pickup, they have a lot of outfield depth just throughout the organization. You're probably not going to see a guy like Schebler on the opening day roster, for example, but he's a guy who maybe by the end of the year you do see, especially if there are injury problems that keep a guy like Carl Crawford out for a prolonged period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's another reason too. Is I think right now is that they want to hold on to Ethier is because of the fact that you look at Fleet with his, more reckless, abandoned kind of style in right field. That's more prone to being injured.
Right.
Jock still has to prove himself in the majors. Carl Crawford has had numerous injuries in his career and missed time last season with the ankle issue. And then Van Fleck really hasn't been a full-time outfielder in the majors. So to have a guy like Ethier that is capable of playing all three outfield, it's a luxury to have right now. So I think they'll keep Ethier as long as they have to unless the situation becomes toxic.
Right.
I think right now, people are trying to make the situation sound toxic when it's really more just the fact of him pointing out what everyone that can clearly see what's going on is he really just wants a chance to prove himself again, and that's what every player has to do in spring training anyway. There shouldn't be one guy that for sure locked into a position. That was our issue last year is guys showed up to camp with this entitlement complex because they felt that they were making this amount of money and deserved to be entitled to a position when they should be competing. And now they're competing.
Well, the days of players signing big contracts and then being entitled to their position just because appears to be long over. I mean, you're seeing it all over. I mean, even in New York, you've got A-Rod, who's got a gigantic contract. He doesn't have a position really right now. I mean, some people have said first base. Some people have said he'll DH a little bit. Chase Headley pretty much is going to be taking over as the third baseman there. But, the same thing now is kind of going on with the Dodgers, where you've got guys that are guaranteed a lot of money, but they're not guaranteed a spot. Ethier, obviously, from what I can tell, the media is blowing this thing way up. I don't blame the guy for being unhappy because he is a career starter. He is still only 32, going, to be 33 years old on April 10th. And he's got a bit of baseball left in him. How much of that is going to be at an all-star level, is left to be questioned. But the guy is capable of being a serviceable outfielder and probably playing 150 games a year. So the $18 million contract kind of gives you incentive. If the guy has the physical ability to go out there and play, you kind of want to get your money's worth out of him. But at the same time, when you got guys like Peterson knocking on the door, I mean, Yasiel Puig obviously is a lock for the outfield, barring some sort of injury. Let's hope Puig doesn't crash into a wall the first week of spring training. But then you got, Schebler knocking on the door. Darnell Sweeney, who, kind of rates as an infield prospect, but I've heard that he can go out there and play some outfield too. Maybe he's someone you look at in the outfield as a potential prospect. They've got so much depth that I don't think the Dodgers at this point can base it solely on we're paying this guy, therefore we have to play him. They've got too much depth.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you also, that you mentioned, we obviously have mentioned the name that everyone knows, but they also have, like I said earlier, Chris Heisey, who they got from Cincinnati, who is been a guy that's been around for a couple of years.
And you can go out and get it in center field too.
Yeah, and he can also play at both the corners. And then you have Kyle Jensen, who they acquired from Florida earlier in the offseason. That's really kind of a Scott Van Slyke kind of clone, who can also play the corner outfield. I'm not really sure what his skill set is, if he's capable of handling center field, because he is a pretty big kid. He's 6'3", 250. So he's probably looking more of a left fielder / right fielder kind of a situation.
Ernie's in the building, by the way.
We have some pretty good depth. I mean, if you look at every position around the team, we have some pretty solid depth. We have depth outfield, depth in the infield, depth at catcher, the starting rotation, the bullpen. They've done, while they have, the front office has done a great job of not necessarily getting the big sexy names onto the team, but they've really done a hell of a job of building this team from the lowest level to the highest level. They've drafted well. They've scouted well. They've brought in international talent. They've signed all these, arms that are really not well known, but these guys are they're hungry. They're under the radar. This is how both Oakland and Tampa Bay built their team. So it's no surprise that they built this roster like they had their rosters in the past.
True. Now, a couple of minor issues with the starting staff, and there's nothing to be immediately concerned about. Zach Greinke obviously took an injection of the elbow about a week ago. It's a routine thing that he does every spring, is my understanding. It is a condition that he has to monitor now and then. He missed a spring training start his first year. He had to start I thought he skipped it. I researched it. He actually had it pushed back 2 days last season because of the elbow, where he had a couple of ineffective outings. They did some maintenance on it, and a little extra time, and he was good as new. But then you got Hyun-Jin Ryu right now has something going on with his back. And my understanding is he's either been not throwing or he's been on a limited schedule lately. What do you know about that?
Well, from what I heard from Ryu is that it was believed it's actually more of a muscle spasm that just pretty much I'm guessing probably just occurred from the fact of simply, going from not pitching and not throwing on a daily basis to all of a sudden starting that. I mean, he's been working out obviously in the off season, but when you ramp it up and you're in spring training and you're kind of getting everything going, sometimes things like that happen. You wake up and one day and you have a stiff neck or something. No different for these athletes. So, I've actually heard that he didn't throw a session today, but he did play some catch, and they reported that there was no after effects, there was no issue. So he's probably going to take it easy for the next probably few more days. I don't think it's anything that's really going to be concerned long term. I don't think it's, something that we're going to have to, people shouldn't panic and think, oh, he's going to miss the start of the season, or oh, this. Or, I think it's a situation of it's been taken care of. They erred on the side of caution. They'll be ready to go and be, probably facing the Padres in Game 3 of the opening series.
Right. Okay. I'm going to really quickly here try to add a microphone.
Why are you doing it through YouTube?
I am doing it through YouTube.
There's no comment section.
I don't know why there's no comment section. I started it the way that I started last time. Eric, you're watching at home, correct?
Yeah, I am.
Are we showing up in the actual YouTube video? Sorry, guys, little technical issues here we're trying to work through.
Well, through the YouTube link I have on YouTube, I do see you guys, yeah.
Okay. All right. So apparently we are not getting YouTube comments this time. It may be because
you guys are getting the like the comments below, but there's not the I am instant message thing on the side like there was last time.
Interesting. I wonder why that is. Well, let's see. Do I have anything on my side? Does not appear to be so. Okay, well, if you do have comments, go ahead and get to the Dodgers LowDown Facebook page. Find the most recent thread that this VodCast is posted under, and go ahead and ask your questions, and we'll keep an eye in that area.
Tweet hashtag DLD.
Oh, yes, tweet hashtag DLD if you're out there on Twitter, and we'll keep an eye on that. Ernie's getting set up, so we'll be able to take some live phone calls momentarily. Ernie, do you have a setup for something to make the phone calls louder, or is this it?
That's it.
All right, this is it. So hopefully having Eric amplified at least will help us with some of this call volume. I want to know if I can plug in this microphone and not disrupt our stream.
Yeah, why would just going to
Let's
the
see.
volume for them. Is it plugged into already?
It's plugged into the thing, but I don't know if it's on. Can people hear me now? It's I think it's still coming off of this microphone. I don't think it's registering on here. So we'll go ahead and set this up with what you've got. Tech stuff on the fly. Second VodCast, still figuring out the works on this. And you can see Ernie behind me there working away. So, Ernie, you were watching the Kings-Ducks game.
Yeah.
I heard it wasn't good for us.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He doesn't know what I'm talking about. I saw stuff on my phone. That's all I'll say. So, moving on to another topic real quick while Ernie goes and settles in with this. We missed out on Moncada, obviously, but there's some other Cubans that you've been kind of keeping an eye on. Hector Oliveira being one of them. Do you see us signing Oliveira, and if so, what role, if any, do you think he plays with the team this season?
Well, Oliveira, as far as I've heard, is it looks like he will end up with the Dodgers. I mean, we've had that one reporter that covers that writes for Baseball de Cuba, basically saying that he's heard from his sources that Oliveira will sign with the Dodgers, although Oliveira still hasn't been cleared. Both Ken Rosenthal and John Morosi of Fox Sports have backed his story, saying that he's a credible source, and that it does appear that that's the case. So when Oliveira will sign, It still remains to be seen. I don't know what the holdup is exactly. If he does sign with us, I think he could potentially, if he gets a chance to get to spring training and show what he's capable of, he could very well compete for the third baseman job and possibly help with, Uribe and Turner. If he doesn't get signed by spring and decide, they does sign with the Dodgers, and then he could be starting at Oklahoma City and getting a chance to play down there. And then if there's an injury or if someone's ineffective and they decide to make a move, then they can call him up and then play a position. So right now it's kind of, I think he would be more of a depth move versus taking over as a starting role as of right now.
And that does make sense as far as what we would do, especially with the Uribe and Turner. But if there is an injury, the signing guy like Oliveira obviously would give us some depth. All right, Eric, we're going to transition now to a point where we're going to take phone calls. I've only got one speaker, so I know you've had a long day, so I'm going to let you go. But thanks for spending some time with us this evening. I'm going to bring Ernie on now, and we'll kind of call this the second half. So all of you out there that have been anxiously waiting, we will momentarily be taking phone calls. We'll get that number to you. And Eric, thanks for joining us for a bit here, and keep on listening, and we'll catch you on the flip side if nothing else.
All right, sounds good, guys. Have a good rest of the show.
All right, man. You have a good night.
All right.
Eric Versalovich, founder of Dodgers LowDown, on the phone for the last half hour while Ernie's been en route and now setting up. Ernie, how you doing tonight? Terrible.
What were you guys talking about?
Oh, we talked Ethier, we talked Cuba, we talked a little bit of the pitchers, and how did we start? We talked Witherspoon, the guy that we just signed today, just because we were talking about organizational depth.
Oh, nobody. That's not going to make any. That's cool.
Well, some people actually. Before we get into phone calls, I did set up a text line for myself, which I'll give that number out at some point as well. But I was speaking with Brandon Connolly from Dubuque, Iowa. So I'm going to give Brandon a little bit of a shout out right now. We've been chatting off and on for the last day and a half or so, just because I threw the number out there and said, hey, who's going to chat? So Brandon, it's been a pleasure talking with you for the last day and a half or so. In fact, let me, that number is not set up with my phone, though. I've only got it set up for text. But Brandon was asking me this morning, hey, who's the center fielder that we signed? So I thought we would talk a little bit. No, not Heisey, but Witherspoon. He was asking about, because he had heard that we had signed somebody that's been on a 40-man before. So we talked a little bit about Witherspoon, and now we're going to get on to some other topics. Now, Ernie.
The phone number is 626-578-5737.
All right, one more time. That's 626-578-5737. And what I'm going to do.
You can text that line also. We'll get it.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to set our speaker up with your phone. Should have enough charge on it now. And what that should do, I'm just giving Ernie real quick on the fly instruction here. It's audio.
This is what I was going to bring too, but I forgot.
Yeah, it's an audio out only, so they should still be able to hear us talking to them on the phone. So once again, 626-578-5737. Give us a call.
No. 626-578-5737. I said 562.
Oh, 562. I was telling you guys to call Long Beach. So if someone answers the phone, just order a pizza. Sorry about that. So, Ernie, I know that you had a very passionate take about Yohan Moncada, and I know you're having one of those nights. So I'm going to let you go ahead and blast.
I'm so fucking irritated by that guy and the fact that he took less money. If he really wanted to be a Dodger, like I've changed my view on this guy twice. If he really wanted to be a Dodger, he probably would have taken less money or more money July 2nd. Why he didn't do that, I have no idea. It's really irritating right now. I want to see something happen, and I'm not seeing enough happen from this organization. Yeah, you're seeing a bunch of pickups here and there, little guys that aren't going to really. They're just depth. That's all they are. That nothing else but depth in case something happens. It's like insurance. They're signing flow, and it's not making me happy. I want to see someone better than Uribe at third base. I want to see someone better than Crawford in left field. Like, make those moves. And it's really irritating me right now because we have the ability to spend all this money and they're not doing anything. And that alone is irritating the shit out of me because we could have had Moncada. You could have had the first round draft pick, the number 1 pick, and nothing. You got nothing.
So that's been a big point of frustration. I mean, obviously we've been talking.
Well, it's not like he's got
early in the week.
Emilio said he wanted to sign soon. Well, okay, then turn down $5, $10, $15 million to sign soon. It's not like he's going to get to the bigs any faster.
True, because the projection of Moncada was maybe double-A to start out.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm trying to get the live channel up so we can.
All right.
I can try to fix that.
Little bit of technical stuff as we really work on the fly. We appreciate you all joining us here on this Friday night, and we'll have that phone line open up momentarily for people to call in. So we thank you for your patience on this. Only other thing that I can think of to talk about right now is as far as Justin Turner. We did have an article earlier today that was pushed by Joshua Saldana. Now, I'm going to give Josh a shout out because this guy, he's a 15-year-old high school student, sophomore, and he's writing for us. And honestly, I didn't even know he was working on a piece. He just texted me at 5 o'clock this evening and said, "Hey, I got something for you. Here's a picture to throw with it." Whoa, and there I am 20 seconds ago. We did have an article. All right. That was me 20 seconds ago. I can quote myself. It's great. But, Josh, just a big shout out to you. And obviously, Turner was a big part of the team last year, and he was just on fire. 340 through the entire season. What was it, 419 with runners in scoring position?
Yeah.
It was absolutely ridiculous. And I will tell you right now, I hope and pray that Justin Turner has another season like that. We're probably not going to see it. I would hope for a guy like Turner to hit around 280, 285. If he can knock, 7, 8, 9 out of the yard, that's great. And if he can hit, somewhere in the 340, 350 range with runners in scoring position, then he's the perfect kind of platoon / off the bench bat that, can really help jumpstart the team in the late innings. And late innings ball was a big problem last year. We saw, game after game where if we weren't in the lead by the end of the 7th inning, you can pretty much ride it home as a loss. And so guys like Turner that have that ability to perform in the clutch, he doesn't have to hit 340 again, but if he can get those runs across some of the time, then that's going to be huge for us this year. So, Josh, that was a great contribution, great article from you today, and we thank you. And I personally thank you because it's great to get a text message from one of my writers saying, "Hey, I've got something for you. You're really on the ball." And I know that those out there that read that appreciate that we had that up today. And, JT is out there at all. I'm sure that he's glad to see that people are saying good things about him too. So let me see if we got anything in the. Oh boy. I'm looking just through our thread here. Shooting the moon.
Sorry guys, I'm getting set up. This is all.
Yeah.
Last second.
So let's see. Amelia saying there's general YouTube comments below, not live chat. Unless there are any calls. Okay, so I guess we've got.
Someone give me a test call. One of our people, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot a message over to the room right now. So if you folks out there, if anyone is not from our admin chat, if you could just hold off a little bit longer. I'm gonna send a text. I'm gonna see if we can get Ryan because he's been wanting to phone in. It's what, 626-578-5737. It's going to be the number.
You might have to set up live chat on there.
I'm still trying to figure this thing out. I don't even see a thing for live chat. Let me see. Start a new chat. Let's see. Does that do anything? I don't know that that did anything.
Why don't you call the number? Since you're right here, I can see if it works.
Let's see. Did Ryan read that? I don't see it. I'm gonna do a test call right now. So if there's any doubling, then we'll know about that in a second.
Are you 805?
No.
I'm gonna answer it blind because I don't have anybody here now.
Or Jason, this guy.
Ryan, go.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Not much. Hey, Ernie, if you can switch it over to the.
It's coming out of here.
Is it coming? I don't hear it coming out of there. I hear it coming out of your phone.
Go ahead, Ryan.
You guys there?
Oh, yeah, it's coming out. I don't know why.
We're here. Go ahead and unplug them. Okay, Ryan, can you hear us now?
I can hear you.
All right, we've been experimenting with a little speaker that we have that I'm displaying now to the audience, and it seems to work fine on my phone, but for some reason it is not working on Ernie's. So we're going to go ahead and have you right there, and I'm going to try to bring the computer a little bit closer for audio purposes. And now I'm over here. Okay, go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, well, honestly, my question is more about Josh Peterson than anything else. And I'm kind of curious as to what you guys think the Dodgers are going to do if he struggles with spring training. Are they going to look to trade him, or do you think that they're comfortable sending him back down to AAA where he's already torn it up down there? What do you think is going to happen?
I don't think he has anything else left to prove in AAA. I think it's all at the big league club, and if he doesn't come out hot, like that's to be expected. The fact with Jock that we have such high expectation levels is any team has high expectation levels with their top prospects. But if he doesn't, we just have to ride the wave with him and wait and see. We have to have patience, and that's one of the main things that we're gonna have to show a lot of, especially with this team, because we don't have that one bopper that we've had in the past years with Hanley or Kemp or Ethier when he remembered how to hit. We don't have that one guy. I mean, I just got an argument with my father about Gonzalez and him saying that Gonzalez wasn't a power hitter even though he hit 20 plus home runs, and I think he led the league in RBIs also.
He did have the league lead in RBIs, both leagues. And
so that to me just is like, this isn't going to be a team that's going to slug 500 home runs. It's going to be a team that scores 1,500 runs, and that might be outrageous or right on key. I don't know. Depends on what lineup we're going to get. Just like stolen bases, I think we're going to spread out the love in regards to home runs and RBIs, and I think we're going to have a lot of 75 to 90 RBI guys. I think we could have 5 of them, if not 6, depending on what Uribe is coming in, and which Jimmy Rollins. Are we getting the motivated Jimmy Rollins that wants to win a championship, or are we getting the lazy one that ended the year with Philadelphia last year?
Well, I'm telling you, when I look at Josh Peterson, I'm sort of thinking that this is the do or die year for him, because we've all been sitting there, with anticipation for this guy to come and produce at the big league level, and obviously he's proven all he can prove at AAA. There's no doubt about that. But the
only issue I have with you saying that is that Jock doesn't say when he gets called up. Jock was ready for promotion when Puig got pulled up. Jock just had a belt, I think it was mono, and he was down for 2 weeks or a month, and so they had to pull the trigger on Puig. Puig wasn't ready. We got lucky with that first week.
That was insane, that first week.
And that's why they kept him up. But a lot of people don't realize that or don't care to remember that. But that was the case. And they thought Jock was ready then. I believe him. But as far as this is his make or break, it's hard to say when this is going to be his first full season as a make or break year. That's like That's like saying this is Kershaw. If Kershaw doesn't replicate this year the way he did last year, then we gotta move him.
Well, when it comes down to
me being outrageous and saying that is like saying that's how I feel when I hear that this is make or break for Jock, because it's not. He's just dipping his feet in the water. You want him to be Michael Phelps.
Well, don't you think, though, that if he comes up this year or doesn't come up this year, I mean, what else does he have left to prove down there in AAA? And so if he can't prove that he can do things on the major league level, I'm not saying that the Dodgers need to move on from him, but it just seems like this is a very, very important year for him, because either he's going to produce at the big league level or he's not. And he certainly has given us every indication in AAA that he can produce, but not so much on the big league level. So I'm just kind of curious what you think is going to happen if he just flat out comes out and does not produce. Do you think the Dodgers will try to move him, or do you think they're comfortable giving him another year in AAA?
I don't think necessarily that he gets another year in AAA. Now, we got spoiled when Puig first came up and had that just scorching hot week. And so Jock had as much, if not more, hype than Puig when he first came up. And so everyone was expecting, oh, therefore he's going to come up and he's going to hit 5 home runs his first week and he's going to tear it up in September and lead us to the promised land. And it didn't happen. And that's a big expectation on a young guy, especially when you've got veteran guys that are supposed to be the ones carrying you, like Kemp and Hanley. Now, if Jock doesn't come out and become an immediate all-star, I'm not too concerned. I just want to see him be above replacement level the first year. If he can knock out 15 to 20, if he can hit 280, and if he can play stellar defense in center field and then develop from there, I don't worry about it too much. But of course, if he comes out and he hits 200, he strikes out 250 times, then maybe, yeah.
What was that?
I was saying if he hits 280 and plays a decent center field, that would be fantastic. I mean, I think that would even exceed expectations at this point.
Honestly, they already kind of said this is your car. Here's the keys, young man. By getting rid of Kemp. Now, if he comes out and it's May and he's batting 100 with 1 home run and 3 RBIs, then you start to worry. But I don't think Jock. There's no going back on him. And if he struggles, we're gonna have to eat that, because nobody's gonna take him if he's struggling, just like Ethier. Like I don't think there's an option for. I get what you're saying, but I don't think there's a legit option or argument for Jock going back down to the minors. Like we said, there's nothing for him to prove. That'd be like sending Puig down there for disciplinary reasons. Like what's he gonna do down there?
I agree. I completely agree.
So we're kind of they have to. I mean, they put all their eggs in Jock's basket, and if he doesn't perform, we have options. We have Chris Heisey who can start in center field. We can move Carl Crawford back to center. We can move Vance Lyke has experience in center field. He might not be the top option, but I mean he can handle it. Or Ethier. Even though I think Ethier actually came out and said, I don't want to play center field, but I want to start, which is basically saying either trade Crawford or trade me, is essentially what he said. Because there's only 3 outfield spots, and he knows damn well they're not going to trade Puig.
Right. I'm going to get closer to the mic, because I just did get a comment from someone saying they're having a harder time hearing the phone. Actually, I had someone suggest we could put it inside a plastic cup to amplify it, but looking around, I don't think I have one. So we're gonna try to make do with this. Ryan, do you have some more for us right now?
Yeah, let me ask you one more question. What do you guys think about? What's your prediction for Guerrero? You think Alex Guerrero's gonna stick?
He's gonna be awesome in a Blue Jays uniform.
He's gonna move on.
He's gonna be awesome in a Blue Jays uniform.
Yeah, I
don't see him with all the bats that we have on the line, with the Justin Turners, with the Andre Ethiers, with the Yasmani Grandals, with the AJ Ellises, with all the depth we have on the bench, possibly even bringing up Sweeney if he has a hot spring. There's no room for him. There's no room for a guy we don't have a DH in the National League, so. There's no room for a guy who can't play second, can't play left, can't play and who can hit probably 270 with half an air.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Hey, thanks, guys, for answering my questions. You guys have a great rest of the night, all right?
Not a problem, Ryan. Thanks for calling in. All right.
And Emilio, stop saying Puig's going to play center. It's not going to happen.
Ryan Wright, one of our Lowdown correspondents, just came back to us, actually, and it's great to have him back on board. So we're going to open up the line now to anybody else who might be out there. I see a few more people have joined us. The number, once again, is 626-578-5737. And we'll be taking your calls over here.
I agree. The bench is very solid right now. Van Slyke, Barney, Heisley, Grandal, or Ellis. I take back Ellis is solid, but everybody else is solid.
Well, and I mean, obviously, if Ellis can be a guy that gets on base now and then, be a decent catcher, he's an okay backup. And obviously, well, you know that he's going to wind up catching at least half of Kershaw's games.
Kelly Jensen can catch if we need him to catch.
I'd like to see Kelly put on the gear. He is a bit of a monster, so I'm sure he'd look kind of imposing back there. What do you think about Austin Barnes? Do you think he's got a crack?
I like him. I like him a lot.
Do you think he's got a crack?
I wish A.J. Ellis wasn't on the team so he'd have a better chance to make the team.
Oh, maybe as a guy, because Barnes doesn't just catch. He can play, second and third as well?
He's solid, yeah. So is now, I need some help with the pronunciation of his name. Is it Kike? Kiki? Kilk? Kick?
Well,
Hernandez.
If you ask, who was it that said Kinky? Was it Turner?
Somebody
on Twitter called him Kinky.
But he did really well in the Puerto Rican series, or the Series Caribe. He played for we're not going to miss FedEx. No, we're not. Not going to happen.
No, and of
we're
course,
using UPS now.
I mean, as bad a hitter as FedEx was down in San Diego, up here, as bad as he was up here. Imagine now down in San Diego, where the ball just dies. I mean, you're talking about a guy that when he does get a hold of one, which doesn't happen that often, he's going to have a lot of flyouts when he does make contact.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, we're not going to miss FedEx, I don't think. Or Butera.
Drew Butera was a very handsome young man.
He was a very handsome young man. And actually, you know what?
He could have suppressed the love that leaving the San Diego would count.
You know, I liked him better as a relief pitcher than I did as a hitter.
Yeah, he was throwing mad gas.
Man, what did he hit? 95?
Something like that.
And his breaking stuff was pretty good.
Oh, apparently we have his name is Enrique Jesus Hernandez.
All right.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Enrique, is it Jesus or Jesus?
I know this is Dodgers Lowdown, but can I really rip into Matt Kemp right now for saying what he said today? Do it. Jesus Christ, dude, get off your fucking high horse. You don't have the best outfield you have one of the you have the best outfield for guys who get hurt often.
Well, and look at the defensive metrics on those guys. I mean, maybe if they went to the old timers game, they might be the best old timers outfield.
Kemp might have a foot up on Darryl Strawberry.
He might have a foot up on Darryl Strawberry.
That's guys who love Coco. Want to talk about Josh Hamilton?
Let's talk about Hamilton for a little bit. I mean, Ernie and I have slightly differing views, but at the same time, I do agree with some things. Rest in peace, Matt Kemp's hips. That was deep. I'm going to let Ernie go ahead and start on Hamilton. I mean, I know that Hamilton's obviously an Angels issue, but like I was talking with Ernie earlier, it might open up a spot for us to talk trade with Anaheim, depending on how deep his coke issue is.
I think he's done. I don't think he's ever going to play baseball again.
It's
and honestly, I don't care. He's an Angel. Who gives a shit?
Well, yeah, there's that element.
However, I know we were talking about substance. I got it. Somebody put something on our wall today, and I kind of ripped into him.
I did see that.
I was as polite as I possibly could be, but substance, and I don't want to get really too much into the whole substance abuse issue because you don't really care what I think, and you don't care what Becker thinks about substance abuse. So we're not going to get too deep into it, but you make your own luck. And like my favorite wrestler says, luck is for losers. And if you don't want to do drugs, put yourself in better situations. And somebody said that drugs are the answer to unanswerable questions, and that really irritated me because I didn't understand that. But I don't want to rip this guy a whole brand new asshole by telling him that he's stupid because it's Dodgers LowDown. If it was on my page, then I would have went a little different with it. But I know you know about substance abuse issues and it's close to the heart, and I don't want to offend you with my views because this isn't the forum for that. But I don't want to feel bad for Josh Hamilton because he's in the public eye. He makes millions and millions of dollars a year. He can afford to have a 24-hour surveillance team watching him, make sure he doesn't do drugs. He can also pay for a Betty Ford clinic or the top clinics in the world to treat him of his illness. It's not a disease.
That's true.
Diseases are diabetes. Diseases is fucking gonorrhea is a disease. Alcoholism isn't a disease. It's a problem, but it's your personal problem. And cocaine, dude, you play baseball. Like, why are you effing around with drugs? Like, that's so stupid. It's you haven't learned from everybody else that's came before you and ruined their lives.
Well, yeah, look at Strawberry. Look at Good.
Gathers that dude passed out on the court.
You know, Hank Gathers. I mean, look at what happened to Lenny Bias. I mean, you know, he'll tell you that coke was a hell of a drug if you can get on the Ouija board with him. But obviously, you look at the mid '80s Mets and all the problems that those guys had, and then Steve Howe.
Yeah,
Steve Howe. That's another case where you have a Dodger guy.
Who was the guy? It was Tim Cruz was on his boat, and
they were all
hopped up on coke.
They were all hopped up
and
on
ran
something.
into another boat.
Tim Cruz and Bobby Ojeda.
I'm sorry. It's just that irritated me, and I don't get it.
And just like Ernie says, substance abuse is an issue that's near and dear to my heart. But that said, I do have a hard time with the disease label, and a lot of people that I've worked with that are mental health professionals, if they were to hear me say that, they'd probably look at me a little bit funny. But in my dealings with addiction, it's a lot of it's up here, and there is an element of willpower that's involved. Yes, you do have some physiological factors, but it's not a disease in that it's not like somebody can sneeze or you can go to an area that needs to be quarantined. You're dealing with an issue where ultimately the addict has to make a decision for themselves that they want to stop using. And if they don't, and in Josh Hamilton's case, I think that Josh Hamilton is probably the most severe case of addiction that I've ever seen that wasn't on Skid Row. And if you've been watching our website, you know that I was just down on Skid Row last Sunday with the Pizza Project. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's probably where he would have wound up if he didn't have baseball. It's a really severe addiction issue. My take is that if you are so bad in your addiction that you have to have 24-hour surveillance, then you've got to get that under control before you can go play baseball. And I understand that he had several years of sobriety, or he had a couple of alcohol relapses. Josh Hamilton, if he is ever going to play the game again, has got to get to a point where he can control that issue without having 24-hour surveillance, because you can't play a big boys game and need to be guided like a small child. And I mean, I'm not saying he is a small child, but I mean, that's really the best metaphor that I can think of for Josh Hamilton. And I guess we can kind of get off of that issue now. It's not necessarily a Dodger issue, but it was a very big issue in this past week. More distracting, I would think, than really the either play me or trade me. That kind of silenced people on that.
I'm kind of over that whole ether thing already. Like, I know we beat it to a drum on our website, but like, is there really a logjam? Do we really have a logjam? I mean,
it's not like last year.
Crawford was on fire at the end of the season.
He was. What did he get? 400 in the last 2 months?
Yeah. And Puig, I mean, you're basing this whole team around Puig, so he's not going anywhere. And, I mean, Jock's the golden boy. So those are your starters. I'm sorry if you don't agree with that, but those are your starters, good or bad, indifferent, whatever. Now, if there's bit pieces that are excellent, the front office has done an amazing job at adding depth. I think that's the whole key to the offseason so far is depth. And I don't have a problem with it. I just upgrade, and then if you're going to upgrade, do it. Like, if you're going to go get Oliveira, I know he hasn't signed. I know he hasn't cleared yet. What the hell's taking so goddamn long?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know what's going on with Oliveira right now as far as the clearance. I won't even pretend to be an expert on how the international signing system works or how the system works as far as guys coming from Cuba and being able to post as free agents, because I know that they have completely different set of requirements than somebody that was born in the United States or any of the other countries, frankly, for that matter, have.
I disagree. We can judge him because he's in the public eye. I'm sorry, Emilio, but I know you love to argue with me, and I appreciate that. But yeah, absolutely, we can judge him. Just like any celebrity who puts themselves out there, they're putting themselves out there to be judged. So I don't have to sit through his. I've seen it. I don't have to be on drugs to know that drugs are bad. That's not that argument doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. I don't want to beat this drum, but they keep talking about it on here. And
right.
Josh Hamilton, I hope you get well, and I hope you beat whatever battle you're going through.
On a personal level, I wish the same thing. I've obviously got my view, having worked in mental health, having had someone near and dear to my heart dealing with addiction issues. So I wish the guy well on a personal level, but I mean, just what we've seen as far as what addiction does to somebody who's playing professional sports, the two things just don't mix.
If you're in the public life, you can be judged. You're putting yourself out there.
You do put yourself out there, and I understand that part of the thought is, well, they do have a private life, and you're right, they do have a private life. But when you sign a $125 million contract and you come with the issues, and you sign it, part of it too is he did sign an agreement with Major League Baseball to drug test 3 times a week, because that was a condition of him being able to play when he first came up. And God bless the guy, he managed for 9 years to never fail a test. But it's clear that right now, for whatever reason, and this is not me judging at all, for whatever reason, he has not been able to maintain his sobriety now. Whether it was a one-time thing or whether it was a binge, I don't know. That information hasn't been out there, but it's clearly something that Hamilton needs to take care of. And like I said, when somebody has to basically be babysitting you 24 hours a day, that's a pretty intense addiction. And that's not judgment.
No.
I mean, that is. I mean, you're effectively, I don't want to throw the word disabled around here, but in a way, that's what it comes down to. And of course, if he's able to do that and keep his thing in check and play baseball, which he's been able to do for 9 years, he has been able to do for 9 years, and I do give him credit for that, because, like I said, my sense on Josh Hamilton is his level of addiction is more severe than just about any addiction that I personally have ever seen. And the only time that I see addiction like that is when I'm, down on Skid Row. It's very tragic. But it's also, if you are a major league franchise, it can be a distraction in and of itself, even with the sobriety.
The last thing I want to say, and you can put a pin in it when you're ready.
Sure.
The last thing I want to say is there's a reason these guys get paid all this money. It's not just because they're good at baseball. It's kids look up to these guys. My little brother has a Josh Hamilton jersey. I mean, he's older, he's 17, but having to explain why, it's become a joke now. He understands. But what about those little 5 or 6 year olds that watch baseball and are learning and have his T-shirts, and now mom and dad have to explain why he's not playing baseball anymore? They affect those people, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. And they get paid all this money to deal with the public, the media, scrutiny. Like, this is what they signed up for. If they didn't want to play baseball, they could be pumping gas in Iowa somewhere. Like, I don't know how we got into this, but I mean, why we got so deep into this, I'm sorry, but it's just kind of, I don't know.
The one thing that I do kind of want to throw out there, I know we don't have a lot of viewers live, but of course this show may be watched, in the archives. There may be people out there who are dealing with, substance abuse issues, alcohol issues. If you're in any county in the state of California and you yourself are facing a substance abuse, because I want to throw this out here just as sort of a public service, as we've been talking about the issue, dial 211 on your phone. if you are looking for services, if you're looking for help. And I mean, that doesn't just go for substance abuse. That's if you're having issues with mental health, if you're having issues with housing, if you're having issues with any of that.
There's also a public 866-615-7266. It's a 24-hour helpline.
And, you know, we encourage anybody out there who may be fighting those battles, you know, use those numbers. We're not here to judge. We're talking obviously about a professional baseball player and a public figure right now. But yeah, for those of you out there who may be dealing with this issue, those are just a couple of resources that you can use. And there's several others that, you know, if you get on Google, you can find a lot of support is out there. So, you know, 12-step meetings. For some people, you know, that's the magic, you know, thing. I know people that have been sober 15, 20 years through 12-step.
So a lot of the people that like us on Facebook are former addicts, which is awesome. And if we can give you help or some way to kind of get away from, if you need to talk to somebody, I mean, message us. We'll chat back. We're constantly on Facebook anyways.
Right.
So if you need someone, you need an ear, I'm sure any one of the administrators from Dodgers LowDown is willing to help you out. No, we don't want to see anybody relapse or just kind of go. If you're fighting a good fight, you know, we'll be there to back you up.
Right. You know, like I said, you know, on a human level, we really hope Josh Hamilton is able to get his addiction back under control. And you know, not that I'm endorsing the Angels here, because obviously I'm a big time Dodger fan. I'm not really an Angels fan, but just as somebody who loves the game, I would love Josh Hamilton to be able to lick this thing and come back and play again. But right now, I think his concern first has to be making sure that he's done with the relapses and taking care of himself. You know, I mean, money, he's got plenty of money, but you only get one life, and when you're dealing with that sort of demon, you got to take care of yourself.
Maybe he saw a bunch of llamas running around.
It's possible.
I thought he was on drugs, but he wasn't really on drugs. Did you hear about that? The whole llama thing?
I did not hear about the llama thing.
There are some llamas on the run, like a black one and a white one, and they, yeah, I didn't catch the whole story, but people were, it was a hit. That and that stupid dress. Did you hear about that?
No.
What color was it? Oh, you didn't see it?
I did not see that. No.
Call us in and tell us what color the dress was to you, because I saw white and gold, and other people saw blue and black. I don't get it. Kiki Hernandez and Brett Henderson were at odds earlier about it, about what color their dress was.
So looking right now at the rotation 1 to 5 as it stacks up, assuming no injuries, you've got Kershaw's obviously on top, then Greinke, Rue, assuming that back is you know, in shape for the beginning of the season. Then you've got McCarthy and Anderson. An interesting signing that we had about a week ago was picking up Brandon Beachy. How do you think Beachy fits into the mix with us?
I love him. I think Beachy's going to be amazing come All-Star break.
Yeah, right around the All-Star break is when they're estimating he'll be back from Tommy John right now.
Chances are someone's going to get hurt. You guys throw a lot of innings, and to have someone the caliber of Beachy to come off out of the minors or just off the DL, that's just going to be awesome, man. It's going to be fun to watch. He strikes out a bunch of dudes. I was a secret Beachy. There's a couple of guys in Major League Baseball that aren't Dodgers that I'm a huge fan of, and he's one of them. Well, now he's a Dodger, so I can publicly be a fan of his. But there are quite a few others that I follow that aren't Dodgers, and I'd get ridiculed for telling you who they are. But man, I love fishing for trout. It's awesome. What do you think is going to what do you we had a little argument earlier this week about, not you and I, but on the admin.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on what transpired this week?
As far as
either one of the arguments we had, because you did a roundtable on
we talked Moncada, we talked Ethier.
Where's Ethier? What color and number is Ethier wearing on April 2nd?
If I had to guess, and obviously we just talked a lot of Josh Hamilton, I think the Hamilton problem extends for a while. I'm not saying that he doesn't come back this year. I do think he comes back at some point, but I don't think he's the guy that the Angels can really rely on at the moment. I see Ethier wearing number 16 in Anaheim and drawing back probably a low-level guy and maybe a middle reliever or maybe a bench guy or maybe a 4A guy. You'll take slot money? I'll take slot money too. But isn't Anaheim banned? I keep calling them Anaheim. I still refuse to call them Los Angeles.
I don't know if they're July 2nd guys or if they already spent. So yeah, they don't have any more money.
So they don't have any more money. So I mean, Anaheim's an interesting match for me. Another team that just kind of, if you look through everything, a lot of people said the Red Sox. I just don't see a fit there now.
No, Shane Victorino's looking for a job there too.
I do see possibly the Baltimore Orioles being a fit, just because they've got so many short porches and bad pitching in the American League East right now. A left-handed power bat, which Ethier, I wouldn't necessarily call him a left-handed power bat at this point, but with some of those shorter porches,
But I mean, the thing with Ethier, he's 2 steps slow. His bat's second late. He's got no glove. Like, what do you want, guy? Like, who do you think you are? You're 33?
Yeah, it's harder. It'll be 33 on April 10th. It's harder to find a good slot for Ethier. Just on a personal level, I root for the guy. I want to see him have a bounce back. But that said, trying to be a realist, trying to take, my personal sentiment out of it, which I've had to do with, Matt Kemp. That was a rough trade. Ernie and I disagreed on the Kemp trade when that went down.
He had to talk you down off.
He had to talk me down. Once I kind of realized the whole thing, I mean, there's a chance that Kemp breaks out and does well in San Diego. If so, good for him. Ernie's saying no. In the event that he does. But I don't see a place for Andre Ethier as a starting outfielder.
Chris Heisley is why they would do that. Ryan's asking, why would they do that? Why would they trade Ethier to Baltimore?
Yeah, they got Heisey.
He's got Heisley.
They got Heisey, and then
Ben Slyke, and stop saying Puig. Puig is your right fielder. He's got the best arm in baseball. I think it's even stronger than Cespedes.
Yeah, and even Emilio's saying Heisey, Ben Slyke, Puig. I don't think.
Well, I mean, let's reference where we were getting that article from.
Right.
Rock Mason Sports, which is they covered Orioles. They were saying bad contract for bad contract, which is Ubaldo Jimenez for Ethier. I just don't see Ubaldo Jimenez fitting here. He was good. He was good when he was with Colorado. I just don't.
He had half a good season in Cleveland.
Yeah, I just don't. We don't have a spot for him. So
I don't see him being better than any of our in-house options. And then you've still got a bad contract.
Honestly, they need to make a decision on Ethier. Either Friedman comes out and says, you know what, shut the fuck up, or you're on our team and that's it, or we got to move him, or just cut bait and just pay the contract, because it's becoming a distraction. It was the #1 trending topic on westcoastbias.com. It's completely ravaging our brains. All we can write is articles about Ethier.
I've gotten so tired of reading articles about Ethier to edit that I literally told everyone no more. And when because Josh Saldana, obviously I told you earlier, hit me up with that article, the first thought I had was, please don't be about Ethier. That was like my first thing. Please don't be another article about Andre Ethier, because I mean, I'll read and edit any one of them, and as long as it's not too similar to one that we've already run, I'll go with it. But when I saw that it was about,
it's not like we want to write an article, a pro Moncada and a negative Moncada article. It's not like we want to do that.
Pros and cons. When I saw it was an article about Turner, I was like, great, another topic, and honestly, a guy that does deserve to get a little bit of recognition for what he did last year. But again,
I like Turner. I don't love him, but
yeah,
I like him.
But again, a guy that is probably not going to hit 340 again.
We can hope.
Yeah, if he did,
I don't think.
I think if Turner hit 340 again, I would grow my beard out and I would dye it red in tribute. Ernie's already got the beard grown out, so he just needs the red dye.
I'll dye it red. If he bats 340 through August, come August, if he's batting 340, I will dye my beard red the entire month of September.
JT, if you're out there and you hear this man right here is going red, and so will I, just for you, man.
Can I do a cheap plug?
Go for it.
So Maria Barajas and myself, we both do some work for a charity called Hope of the Valley. And what we're doing this year is we're running a marathon, the LA Marathon. And what we need is to help raise some money for Hope of the Valley. And so I'm calling on all our Dodger LowDown fans and other admin if you'd like to donate, $1, $5, $10. The goal is 500. So anything you guys can donate would be awesome to help us out. Again, we're running a marathon, and if you want to show up, maybe I'll throw on a Dodgers LowDown shirt. And if you want to advertise on me for a donation, I'll put your name on my shirt or something like that, whatever you want. And,
or if you have a small business, you can plug that on your shirt.
Yeah, if you want to plug your small business, I'll put it on my shirt. Whatever, that's cool. We can do however you want. But yeah, we really appreciate the help.
Eric just reminded me of something. I just want to bring it up real quick. For those of you who are familiar with some of the people on the periphery of the team, but that are always there. John Suhu actually had to leave spring training to be with his mother, who I understand is ill. So, Mr. Suhu, our thoughts are with you and your family and your mother at this time.
He's a good guy. I met him at the Dodger Blogger tournament.
He's a great guy, and I don't know all of the details about what's going on. They haven't really publicized specifics that I've seen, but obviously something's going on there with John Suhu and his family. So our thoughts with John Suhu at this time.
My girlfriend just said I'm not dyeing my beard red.
Maria,
I don't think so either, because Turner ain't 340.
Maria, if it gets to mid-July and he's still
go break Turner's
hitting like 340, then you can handle that.
Well, you just got a text.
We did get a text
from a 951.
So someone in Riverside County.
Where do you think Greinke will be next year? And how do you think the Dodgers might pick up in? Who do you think? I'm sorry, I'm going to correct what you said. How do you think? Who do you think?
Start from the top.
Okay, there's a lot of mistakes in this one. Sorry.
Okay, just
open not one of my close friends.
Open the text.
Where do you think Greinke will be next year, and how do you think Dodgers might pick up? Who do you think the Dodgers will pick up in his place?
Did they identify who they were?
No.
Okay, so unidentified from Riverside County, and I think honestly, I don't think he opts out.
It didn't sound like it when they kind of nudged him about it.
Yeah, my thinking on this is Greinke is a different animal. And yes, we all remember when he signed. He said, "I went to the team that gave me the most money." Zach Greinke has no filter. He's his own animal. And here's the thing about Greinke, because he doesn't like to be the center of attention. And when you're in LA, you've got Clayton Kershaw, you've got Yasiel Puig. You've got, even Carl Crawford is a guy that, the media will every once in a while kind of gravitate to.
Chen Ochocinco's ex.
Yeah, so there's a lot of personalities on the club that the media is going to go to. So Greinke doesn't have to be the ace. He can be the two and kind of shy away from the media, do his 3 interviews a year, be kind of, a little bit awkward and weird in the process. And otherwise be kind of left alone to play baseball, which is what he loves to do. So I can see Zach Greinke, unless he gets flyers saying, "Hey, we're going to pay $30 million a year because we're stupid." Because Greinke,
and especially at that age,
he's the wrong side of 30. I
don't see him. To answer your question, no, I don't see him leaving the Dodgers. However, the starting pitching pond is stocked with great arms next year, and
and even if we don't lose Greinke, we might go after one of those arms.
And that's what I'm saying. I think the name to look out for is David Price or Zimmerman from
Jordan Zimmerman with 2 ends.
Yes, I think those are the 2 arms to look at, or at least pay attention to going forward. They just seem like the 2 likely fits. big power arms, and I mean, if you're gonna throw enough money at a guy, he's gonna come to LA. Look at Greinke. Greinke took the. Greinke didn't want to play in LA.
By the way, Emilio makes the point that he believes that Greinke has social anxiety disorder. I don't know if that is an accurate diagnosis. I've got my own thoughts, which I will keep to myself here. But
I think he does have anxiety.
He does have some. There is definitely a social condition going on with Greinke. And we've had it presented to us as social anxiety disorder, so we'll run with that for official purposes.
I mean, but you don't see Greinke putting himself in awkward situations though. Besides, telling AJ Ellis he's going to trade him.
Well, yeah, he's going to trade Ellis.
I totally agree with him.
he told Ellis he would trade him, and I hear he's very bad at fantasy football.
Yes, but he's good at ping pong.
Yes. Not George.
George Zimmerman.
Oh, George Zimmerman.
That guy.
Oh, that's a completely different topic.
That guy's the Josh Hamilton of beating his wife.
Dear.
And no, we're not. I don't want Plateau. He's got bad hair.
Oh man, not that I'd want to be either one of them, but I think if I had to be one right now, I'd rather be Josh Hamilton than George Zimmerman. Oh boy, that guy's gotten himself into some trouble.
Are you signed up for the Dodger blogger tournament?
Am I personally? No.
Are you gonna play?
I am probably not going to play in that tournament. But
you are. Though, right?
I will be there. I will be.
You guys should come
this.
out and support us. It's also for a good cause. I think a good portion of the proceeds are going. I think everything actually is going to one of those foundations. If Eric V is listening and put it up for us, you guys can donate and help them out at helping kids, or you can come and hang out and buy some T-shirts or whatever the pavilion is selling. I know that he always brings T-shirts out there to sell, so that'd be good to help. Or you just want to come out and support and meet the faces behind the keyboards that you read about us, or you can meet us. I don't know how fulfilling that will be for you, but
well, and I'm going to be looking to talk with a lot of people, and I'm going to be getting as much footage as I can. If you've watched the FanFest video, or if you've watched the recent Hiccups video that I did down, on Skid Row, this is what I use, and I also have a handy cam. But for the most part, this is what I use. It takes great video. It gets great audio as far as, just an improv thing. I can't afford to go out and spend thousands of dollars on equipment, and, the iPhone, frankly, does the job. So you're probably going to see me walking around with this thing like this, getting sights and scenes. So if you see me, come up and say hello, and maybe I'll get a quote of you to put on to whatever we put together for the softball tournament.
Also, if you're going to be at spring training next week, I'm going to have a giveaway, a tweet up. So I'm going to bring some type of goodie with me, and if you find me, I'll give it to you.
I believe Eric Versalovich is going to be down there as well. Do you have a date yet that you're planning to go, or are we
opening day?
So you are going to be there on the 4th
and 5th.
And the 5th.
Coming back the 5th.
All right.
Not to give you all my itinerary because you don't care.
All right, and I've also got something brewing for spring training on my own. I'm not going to divulge that to the public just yet.
Where you go, we'll have a tweet up there, and I'll give you something to give away.
It's going to be
all
pretty
you gotta
cool.
Do is like us.
So I'm not going to say where, and I'm not going to say when, but I do have a special spring training trip of my own coming up. So be on the lookout for that as well. And I mean, this past week really has been, other than the ETH chatter, it's been pretty uneventful. I mean, Ryu with the back strain, a couple of small signings. It sounds like everyone else has just been putting in work,
which I like. I mean, there's been the Peralta kind of being ready, not being ready for opener.
Something with the shoulder going on there.
Koufax at spring training, seeing how impressed he is with Urias.
That's, yeah.
Told
when Sandy Koufax makes a comment like that about a prospect, there's something special going on there.
And he told Brett Anderson he thought he was good.
That's another big one. Well, both him and Kershaw have now sung Brett Anderson's praises. My biggest concern with Brett Anderson is this is a guy that he's only exceeded 100 innings one time, I believe, in his career. So my concern becomes if he's pitching a lot and you get into August and September, how well does the arm hold up? So hopefully he's ready to go, and hopefully he can pitch deep into the season. But that is my one concern, is he's never really been able to stretch it out because he continuously has injuries.
Also, I'll be putting up the link on the website if you'd like to donate. Appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry about it.
That's fine. So yes, if you'd like to help out with Ernie Maria and their marathon cause, that link will be up on the website. Go ahead and give as much or as little as you'd like. Even $1 will help out, and I know that they would appreciate that, and they'll find a way to acknowledge you as they're
Somehow,
doing their run.
like AC Slater did when he tried to sell his. Remember, he tried to sell advertising space on his T-shirt or his jersey. I'll be your AC Slater.
So I'm curious to see if we've got any more calls coming in. I haven't heard. We did get the
Also,
text
with
message.
FYI, just West Coast Bias, we will be throughout the spring covering. I think we're going to cover each and every player. Just giving a rundown, like an expectation level, how he fits.
Yeah.
What he's going to be doing, what we think he's going to be doing, how he fits in the lineup, how he fits in the team, what chemistry issues, all that other good stuff. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, over the next few weeks, you're going to see a lot of player pieces. You're going to see some positional battles. And obviously, if there's any movements, we'll be keeping you on, on board with that. And as we start to actually play the games, we'll be able to talk about what guys are doing on a day-to-day basis that the public can actually see and that's actually measurable against live competition. And I'm excited to see that and seeing how these guys fare against other guys that are up in big league camps. We have a lot of pitchers to sort through. Emilio has talked about the idea of quality from quantity. I'm not 100% sold on it, but I get it. I get it. And it's going to be interesting to see how guys like Liberatore do. It's going to be interesting to see if Peralta shoulders okay, how he's going to do. We just signed McGowan and Gaudan, seeing if they have a place really where they fit on the club. Seeing if David Ardsma, if he can get that form back, he might be a guy that emerges on the back end of the bullpen. My personal favorite for, starting the season out in the closer role is Pedro Baez. I mean, the guy's fastball just kind of takes off. And I think, I don't know that he'd be ready to hold that roll down full time, but I think, 4 or 6 weeks, he could do it. So the bullpen is going to be a really interesting issue, and Emilio's piece was actually very insightful and very well researched. Like I said, I don't necessarily agree fully with the quality over quantity, but I do see where it can come in handy. And a little shout out to Emilio, dude. That was some awesome research. I know you spent a lot of time on that article. And if you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, go ahead onto our website, wcbsports.com/Dodgers, and take a look on through there, and you should find that article right there on the page.
Our call number again is 626-578-5737 if you would like to call in. Also, you can follow us on Twitter. Eric's is Eric L. Becker at Twitter.com.
Well, actually, I for this purposes, I've been using Becker WC Bias.
My bad. That was a personal Twitter.
Yeah, that's the personal Twitter. I mean, I'll hit you up there too. But if you tweet it Becker WC Bias, that is my handle for Dodgers Lowdown and West Coast Bias Sports. But if I can do a real quick plug here.
Follow me at EvoLA83.
That's okay. If I can do a real quick plug here, obviously we're looking to grow West Coast Bias, not just to cover Dodgers, but to cover anything and everything West Coast. So if you are, or if you know somebody who writes Giants, Angels, Padres, Athletics, we're also looking at Diamondbacks, Mariners. Ernie and I don't necessarily like the teams, but we would love to see your content, and we'd love to see you do some of the stuff that we're doing in support of your teams. And maybe we'll have some back and forth over the season. All in good fun for the most part, I think. In good fun, right, Ernie?
Yeah, good fun. Good fun. We're kicking their ass.
But in all seriousness, if you do know somebody, or if you yourself are interested in writing, maybe not even necessarily Dodgers stuff, we are also looking for other sports, looking for Kings, Ducks, Lakers, Clippers, I would assume Galaxy and the team formerly known as Chivas and now represented by a franchise that hasn't started yet. Media at wcbsports.com is the address to write to. Send me over a sample of your work or an explanation of what you want to do, and we would love to see about bringing you aboard and getting in at the ground level. So that's my plug for new writers. So if you know anybody, send them my way.
Yeah, do that.
So.
I want to say Denver saying the Giants word again on this podcast. And I also want to say congratulations to the original Beast Mode and the only Beast Mode we will recognize anymore.
Marshawn?
No.
Oh, there's one before Marshawn.
He's the Blaxican, Juan Pierre.
Oh, Juan Pierre.
So long, Frenchie. We bid adieu.
We do.
Also, Mark Ellis has not been tagged by Yadier Molina yet.
It still hasn't happened.
And I'd also like to congratulate Mark Ellis on one hell of a career. You chap ass, go right off into the sunset and watch Jeff Kent's truck.
Actually, I know a guy who claims that he actually has watched Jeff Kent's truck.
Really? I know a lot of people watch Kobe Bryant's balls.
Oh man. Oh, yeah, you do realize that you do realize that Kobe's wife and half his stuff is coming to me in about a year.
Why?
Well, his career's going to be over, and she's going to have no need for him anymore because he's going to be at the peak of the amount of money that he has.
So how do you proclaim that's going to come to you?
I just know. She's coming to me.
All right.
Unless you know someone else that she's been,
unless you know something I don't know.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Dodgers LowDown, and coming up, we're past 11:15 of the evening here, and I don't know. Are we running out of topics to talk about? We're going to put that number out there one more time. I know that one of you people out there that's watching us wants to call in and get a word in. So once again, it's 626-578-5737, and we'll wait for a couple more minutes here before we call it a night on that. Oh, and Ernie's clearing the teams, clearing the team stream.
Just waiting for a call.
Waiting for a call. I'd break out in a song, but Emilio says, "Keep Kobe away from white girls."
Yeah.
Oh, the chat room is all a chatter.
Oh, Kobe. Keep him out of Eagle, Colorado.
Oh, there was one other topic that I had on my mind. Obviously we've talked Moncada, we've talked Ethier. I guess the last thing on my mind is Scott Van Slyke. Does he stick with the full beard this year, or is he going to go back to the porn stash?
I hope not. I hope he sticks with the beard.
I think that the beard is the look for him.
Solidarity.
It probably is the look for him. Oh, that's what it was. Brandon League. That was the guy I was thinking about. I know how people love to hate Brandon League, but that ERA around 2.5 last year was kind of hard to argue with. Ernie, do you see him as kind of a dark horse for picking up at least that temporary closer role?
I'm not going to. Yes. But I'm also not going to say anything bad about Brandon League this year, because the last time I said he was going to do something good, he ended up shitting himself. So last time I said he was going to save 50 games 2 or 3 years ago, I no longer believe that. I think he's going to be able to tie his shoes this year.
He's going to be able to tie his shoes and hopefully throw a baseball 60 feet 6 inches.
He's got, when his game's on, he's got the most wicked slider in the game.
That thing is pretty wicked.
So.
And we're still getting.
Waiting.
Still waiting on phone calls.
You got someone who you know is calling?
No, not at this point in the evening. So obviously we did deal with some technical issues. We thank you all for hanging in with us. It's late. It's Friday night. I got a baby shower to go to tomorrow, and
work tomorrow.
And Ernie's got work tomorrow. So we're gonna go to bed. We're assuming that you guys are gonna stay out and party because you're not doing a VodCast at 11:15 on a Friday night. But spring training gets into full swing next week when they start playing games. So we hope that you are going to have an opportunity to go out to Glendale, Arizona, to Camelback Ranch. It's Glendale, right?
Yeah.
It is Glendale. See, I was about
Maria
to
just said
Dale.
she wants to call in and talk to me about painting my beard red. So if you want to call in, you're feel free.
I do want to hear this conversation. So let's keep the line open for just a minute longer. Maria, go ahead and make that call. I
think you have my number.
She has both of them, I think.
And also, Amelia said, what about Ernie's question about upgrading Uribe at third base? Who's next in line?
That is a good question, actually. Who do you see right now? Moncada. So who do we trade to get Moncada?
Moncada.
We trade Moncada for Moncada? He just says Moncada. Moncada. I do also want to say real quick here, if I can.
Honestly, to answer your question, Olivero is probably the only option we have right now besides Uribe, because I don't know who we're going to go after. They're pretty hell bent. Excuse me. They're pretty hell bent on Seager playing shortstop. So,
well, they've pretty much told him that he's only going to play shortstop this spring.
Yeah, I don't.
That's my understanding. Real quick, if I can plug, I also have a Google Voice number. Right now, it's not hooked up to my phone. I do plan to hook it up to my phone when I do some live vodcasting of my own. That number is 213-545-6296. I'm going to repeat it one more time. Give you a chance to go get your pen and paper or open up your Word document. 213-545-6296. When I'm live on the air without Ernie, you can call into that number. Otherwise, leave me a voicemail and give me your thoughts, or shoot me a text and talk Dodger to me.
We should have kept Beltray. I agree. What are your thoughts on Yadier Alvarez?
Yadier Alvarez, the Cuban?
No, the Albuquerquean.
Oh, the Albuquerquean. He makes good spare ribs.
We got a call from Uribe. Uribe. Hello? Hello, caller. State your name. State your cause.
I'm all about Turner doing great, but I think I'm going to take Decker's advice, and if I see that he's doing better than expected, I'm going to hide in the corner somewhere because you're not going to hang your beard red.
Listen, woman. If I want this beard red.
Unless you like being single.
Oh.
Listen, woman. This beard will be red tomorrow.
Oh. It has been thrown down.
The challenge.
Emilio asks who finishes second or third in the national.
I'll tell you who. Maria and Maria. In this argument.
Oh.
No, it's not happening.
I think the Giants finished second and the Padres finished third.
I actually think the Diamondbacks finished second.
You think the
Padres finished third?
What gives you reason to think the Diamondbacks are going to finish that well?
Healthy Goldschmidt. They have no pitching, so they're going to have to score 8 or 9 runs a game. But they have Yasmani Tomas. They have that new Cuban kid. I don't know how ready he is. Yon Lopez.
That's right. They got.
He could basically come in and be their ace. They have a whole new thing going in Arizona, and I thought they're my dark horse to make the playoffs.
Although it was interesting, their fan fest apparently became Seattle Seahawks fan fest because it was the same weekend as the Super Bowl, and apparently that's where all the Seahawks fans went.
Well, yeah, probably the only thing they can afford because it was free.
Oh man! So if there's suddenly a rush of Diamondbacks fans in Washington State, it's because of the Super Bowl. And because of Diamondbacks Fan Fest.
Let's get back to the beard thing. What if I just shave it off?
Don't you dare.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right, guys. I think that's about going to do it.
I'll tell you, woman, I'm not shaving this damn beard, and I'm going to paint it red. Brother!
That about does it for us tonight. Ernie, you got any last words? Words. All right, folks. Ernie Villa, Eric Becker signing off. Catch us at WCBsports.com.
Live long and prosper.
Oh, yes.
Rest in peace, Nimoy.
Catch us at WCBsports.com/Dodgers and be on the lookout for our next vodcast. And I'm thinking I might do one solo on Sunday night and try using this Google Voice number. So be on the lookout for that too. If that is going to happen, I will get a date and time up. So to all of you,
look for an extreme close-up of Becker doing this and talking to you all night.
It's going to be great. All right.
Awesome.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, guys.